Pretty bird over there. Action. Hey everybody, Ed here, W4EMB with my buddy Phil, KW4LP. Hello Phil. Hey. Hey. So today Phil came out to do a POTA activation. This is our second activation with Phil. Our last one was 2 years ago.
It was a long time
ago. But Phil's still a working man. So it's just nice to be able to have Phil come out and join us. But Phil has a really special thing that I wanted to share here on the channel and just show what he has going on. Phil's still working on his CW at the moment. So Phil did a voice activation today, and he has just a really unique Go box that's not a box. And I thought we would share it here. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick up the camera and start moving it around, make everybody seasick, and have Phil talk us over through what he has. And I'll ask him a few questions along the way. So here we go. So I pause there, that we have time to, okay. And then my screen just shut off. Let me go into the, I'm just letting it go. Okay, do this. Okay, Phil, what do you have there? What radio are we using?
Well, today I'm using a FT857. I've had it for a very long time. Now, due to the fact that, you know, I'm still working and got bills and everything, I don't want to spend a lot. I wanted to be able to go from my truck to where I'm using my radio without making multiple trips.
Nice.
So
tell us about your
I was looking online and I saw the copper man packs and that people were using.
Okay.
Well, I had an 857 and I wanted to be able to use my tuner, but I needed enough power and everything else. So I got the idea using PVCs.
Okay.
By using the PVC pipe, you have the three-way ones down at the back corner here with this aluminum support. By using those, it automatically squares up the tubing.
Okay.
With the copper tubing, you have to get some type of brace or something to keep it square while you're soldering.
Right, right.
And this glues together. So for basic power, I have a 12.8 volt and 18 amp hour battery.
Okay. A LiFePO battery there.
Right. Yeah. I use that. I have my radio, the tuner.
Okay, and you're using the LDG Z100 Plus Auto Tuner.
Yep, it's easy to use.
And it's powered with your 9-volt battery.
Yep, I have a 9-volt battery right here. I can also plug it into
to your main power.
Through my main power.
Right.
I'm using just an inexpensive external speaker because it sounds better. Okay. And it just unscrews and I can fit it right down in here.
And so what you're doing is you're just unscrewing the speaker off your little bracket.
Right, the bracket just folds over.
Right, because that's a rubber thing there, it's not solid, and you just push the
bracket
right
I just rotate it over.
Yeah, that way everything's within your cage, because you're carrying your whole cage setup actually in the bag here.
Yep. It's basically a airport backpack, which is square. And I can fit my complete radio setup. Two of these. One of these has my filters. This has all my ground leads. My smaller coax can fit on this. Nice. And then I have larger coax that I use when it allows.
So basically the whole cage, both your Tupperware containers, which one of them has all your filters in there. He has different band pass filters that he brought. You know, it's just something nice to keep in his kit.
Yeah,
so
they both fit
those
over here.
And his whole cage setup all fits in this airport bag along with his antenna here that he has.
And then on top of the cage, this, I have my Surface Pro laptop. I have my keyboard, my phone, my extra coax. All this fits on top of that zips and I put it on my back. My, I have a tripod set up in here that I use for it.
Yeah, the Gable tripod is in there along with his whip there. And his
on the outside of it where my clips are, these were already there and this fits nicely in there. It doesn't slide out the end.
Excellent.
And like when I left the truck to come out here today, I just put it on my back and walked out here
so
with
one trip with just this bag, and from that he was able to set all this up. And now that we're over here on the side, let's talk about this. This is tell us what that is.
Okay, if I wanted to do, say, extended operations in this is my solar controller. I have solar panels that I can bring with me. And all I do is on my power supply for my radio, I have it disconnected now. I have these bullet connectors that hook up to here. And then my solar panel also hooks up to here.
Right, right.
And this way it'll recharge my battery while I'm using it. And then when I'm not using it, it'll continue to recharge my battery.
And that's just by simply adding in just another connector right here going to there.
And then
That's excellent.
my phone and stuff like that, I can plug it into here and recharge it off the solar power
Nice.
while we're doing operations.
One thing that I thought was unique about your setup, and I've never seen this before, Phil, this thing here on the side. This what is this?
Okay, on my microphone right now, you know, with your
hold on, what's this?
the microphone. I know you're a CW.
No, I'm just kidding, Phil. But pull that off. Let's show people what you did to adapt your microphone.
That's just a regular clip for like you would use for snap, pants or whatever.
Right. How cool is that? The screw right
through. And it just screwed right into the back of the microphone. I just took the little plastic ring off it.
And it's just a snap. So instead of having the standard slide in fork, snap on, snap off. So you don't have to,
it comes off with just the snap of a pinky.
But it holds it up there. And
it holds it up there, and when I put it in my case, it keeps it out of the way.
And if you notice, what I really like about that too, that snap, it's still all in your cage. It's still within the sides of your cage. I've never seen a snap configuration, or the fact that you just remove the screw, put on the female portion of the snap, remove the screw, put on the male portion of the snap, and there you go. I mean, that's just a fantastic idea. And then one other thing is, we also have our ground that's going to both our radio and our tuner here. So that's nice, yeah.
And then I have ample space between the battery and the radio for cooling.
Excellent, yep.
But also, when I move this out of the way, if I need to pull my battery out of the way, I have this Velcro fastening where I just pull it up and come up. I can just lift my battery out. I don't have to take anything apart.
And then the aluminum plate on the back.
Yes, it's an 1/8" aluminum plate that gives it reinforcement and strength.
So a solid flat aluminum plate with
that's rubberized paint that's over the top of it.
And the other thing that Phil had, when he was setting up, he actually stood this up on end when he was out here earlier. And it's a nice solid platform for it to stand up on end. So if you had limited space, the fact that you can stand the radio up on its end, and again, this swivels and all that, he can actually turn that in any direction, and it's just a great setup. I like it a lot, Phil.
Thank you.
A lot of people, when they hear the word Go Box, they think about a Go Box, and but like you say, there are a few people that instead use these frame or skeleton instead, and like you said, it's that way you get the airflow, especially when you're out here doing voice and people are out here trying to do 100 watts voice. It affords them the opportunity to get some airflow to the radio. Yep. But we weren't 100 watts today. What were we at today?
We were running 70 watts.
70 watts. And today is Sunday, the day May 18th, right?
Yep.
And there's a big solar activity happening. And that solar activity, we were getting some really rough band. Let me do that. When I get over here in the thing instead of just shoving the camera in Phil's face. Yeah. We were getting a lot of rough conditions this morning with the solar activity that was happening, and then all of a sudden the band just opened up. And
my surprise was our first contact was out of New Hampshire.
Right, New Hampshire from Tennessee. When the band was not good.
No,
the band was not good
at all.
And then we were 100 watts and we turned it down after that one, didn't we?
Right. We were at 100 watts. And we actually didn't get anything. It was when we turned down to 70 we started making contacts.
Now that doesn't seem to make a lot of logical sense, but sometimes trying to dial down your power, maybe the distortion of voice, but then again,
the
conditions, right, because you'd want to try to push more power, I guess, if the conditions are bad. But we actually found that by dropping the power to 70, and then of course with the conditions changing, we started making some QSOs. And would you finish up with 16 today?
Yes.
Yeah, 16.
16.
And today was Phil's first POTA activation where he made his 10. The last time we came out together was 2 years ago when he was just trying to get equipment together, and he had a problem with his solar charge controller and he just lost power. So he made a QSO, but then no power after that. And so today, after many videos and just putting together this nice cage, because you didn't have this last time.
No, I didn't.
And it didn't have the whip and the tripod
I
antenna.
made like 4 trips to the truck last
Right.
time, and I had less equipment than I do now.
And your antenna was this your 10-meter antenna.
I was running
a bit that dipole thing.
the dipole
Right.
setup.
Yeah, and it looked like
It
two
took up a lot of
two
room.
Eiffel Towers.
Yep.
On a hitch mount kind
It
of
hooked
thing.
up easy and
Yes.
quick, but it was a lot to carry.
But you know, even though it was a lot, and even though we learn or we evolve, the thing was that your first idea did work. I mean, you
Yes,
made a
it
QSO
did.
with it before you had a power failure.
I talked to
Yeah.
California
Yeah.
on 10 meters that day.
So that's amazing. That you know, because a lot of folks, when they're out there in their first trip without any help, my first trip didn't go so well. I got out to the park on my first, before I started doing CW, I tried to do a voice activation and brought out my Go Box. My Go Box wasn't a skeleton. I actually used a cutting board and a cutting board with bolts on the 4 corners to
I
separate the
remember
two. And I had all this, I mean, it took, well, I didn't make trips to the picnic table. I actually took it all in the van and just, you know, just kept unloading it. And I had a huge antenna set up. I had, you know, a table, a chair that I brought in the van, that cutting board. It was a big cutting board, and I got it all set up. And I was trying to run a laptop, an external monitor off of a inverter, and it just did not go. I made 0 contacts. So, you know, your first outing was more successful than mine, because you at least made one. I didn't make any. But then I just started watching these YouTube videos, and just proofs in the pudding, you know, that's what I call it, is what works. What does everybody do? Now, this is a hobby of experimentation, and I think that's one of the things you said when you first got here. I'm doing this is experiment, that's an experiment. That's exactly where you want to be. And this hobby is experimenting. You know, trying a different thickness of radiator, trying more radials, less radials, shorter radials, longer radials. You know, it's all experimentation. And then sometimes too, I think part of that experimentation is, thank goodness with our logs in POTA, it gives a list of states. And we're using the Polo app today, or in your app store, it's called Ham2K. And what's nice is at the end of your activation, you can hit a button called Map, and it will show you the direction of all your QSOs. Now, my QSOs and your QSOs today, they're generally in the same directions, but we also have to think too about population density.
Right.
But it is interesting when you use a vertical antenna that's, you know, omnidirectional, low takeoff angle, looking at the majority of your contacts. And then maybe next time what we could try is we could break out our in-fed half waves.
Yeah.
And we could run the wire. We'll run the wire north-south. That way we get an east and west off the side, because we'll be running it in a slope configuration.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that should give us more of an east-west.
I'll have to run something shorter than mine. Mine's 133 feet.
130. Yeah, we'll be in the road. Yeah. But anyway, I probably shouldn't ramble on too long. Other than that, Phil, you made a bunch of contacts, getting used to the pole app. What are some of the?
Good.
You did great. For next time, what is something you might go home after you're able to catch a breath and go, all right, things I want to change. Is there anything that you want to change for next time or be more prepared with?
Oh, get more prepared. But actually, the adapter for my hookup here, so it sticks out a little bit. I've added an extension here, but when we showed up, I was hooking up back here, and it was hard to get your hands in there to try to hook up the antenna. I added a small adapter afterwards, so we just have to hook up here.
Because we were talking instead, maybe just having like a 6-inch pigtail that could fold up in here. That way you can pull your pigtail out and just hook to it, rather than trying to reach back there. Yeah, that's a good idea. But you had a quick fix because you had some adapters to use so you can bring that connection out. So that worked just fine. Yeah. Okay, so your pigtail adapter. What else is what else?
Well, from the last time I learned, if you're using one of these, don't hook your radio to the load side, because your radio will blow your solar panel.
Yes. So always hook your load to your battery directly. Don't use on your solar charge controllers, it is say load, panel, and battery. Don't hook anything up to the load, because you might be pulling more amps than your solar charge controller can withstand. Always make sure too, I think that you should always hook up your battery first, That way when you plug in your solar panel, that energy has a place to go and it doesn't just hit your charge controller and 86 that. So, okay, so charge controller, antenna connection. How about during the operation, so it's Phil's first time today, so I was on the Polo app for him while he was pencil and papering.
I didn't pre-write a script.
Pre-write a script. Most important.
To what I'm comfortable saying.
Right, right.
Because Ed wrote me a quick one real quick, which was all designed for CW. So.
What do you mean designed for CW? Get out of here.
Let's see, CQ POTA, DE KW4LP.
Well, it's tiny paper. You know what DE means. This is.
Exactly, but that's not
tiny paper.
That's not voice language, though.
Well, you wouldn't say DE.
But since I'm.
You don't say KW4LP either. We didn't
no,
spell
but I know what to say.
So CQ POTA, this is.
Since I'm learning CW, I knew exactly what you meant.
Right. Yeah, so having a script is very important because like he just said a minute ago, amongst all our joking back and forth, is he sat down, he scribbled a couple things across the top of his paper, and he would say one thing the first time, something maybe the second time, because you have a lot coming in. You have a lot of information.
I get to the end of the conversation, it's like,
what do I say now?
Wait, QRZ.
Yeah.
I kept forgetting QRZ. It'd be 73s.
Thanks. Yeah, or just, you know, if it's not written down, because you get nervous your first time. It's just like, thanks for the contact. Phil, say 73. Oh yeah, 73.
QRZ.
Now call for who's next. Oh yeah, QRZ. And it's because, so having a script. So bottom line, just having a script. We'll quit beating up on Phil there, but it's because it's not funny while you're trying to do it. It is
when you're watching it, but he won't admit to it.
No, it's not funny. I feel flustered with you because I know that you want it to be a fun activation and something enjoyable, not like, you know, you don't want to have something that you feel is wrecking you. But here's the main takeaway though. Did anybody tell you get off the area lid until you come up with a script?
No,
or did everybody
no one
say,
said anything.
Hey, thanks for being out there?
Right.
Yeah.
Everything was good.
And
it was good having two people because some of them were really hard to pull out. I could barely hear, and we were like, was that this letter? And then calling back to them.
Right.
But like that one on the log where they logged that they made contact with me, they put their information down too, just because they had trouble hearing us too.
Right. That was a park to park young lady out of up in the Northeast. I forget, up in Maryland, New Hampshire, somewhere up there. But so that's another thing. So having a script. The other thing then we just now discussing, respotting. If you're at home and you're hunting someone, respot, especially if they have to say, you know, your call again, your call. So by you going on the POTA site, if you're able, and respotting, that helps the activator. Then if he, in between, he could take a breath and he could look at the POTA site himself to see who's respotted him, confirm a call sign. So that's nice. And the young lady, she did put her park numbers on there, so that was nice too, because she was a park to park, so she was way down in that noise. But for me, Phil, I enjoy pulling the ones out of the mud.
But she was definitely.
I
gave her what, a 2-2?
Yeah, something, 2-2, or yeah, she was way down in there. But I like the fact that both you and that young lady were both willing to keep going.
We went back for several minutes trying to get our call sign straight and everything. Yeah. Because when she called in, I only heard the first 3 letters of her call sign.
Because the band conditions were very up and down, and so it's rough. And I think the lesson learned there is use your standard phonetics and say your call sign.
She was using Indian. I was having trouble pulling it out of the mud.
Right. Now, and Italy. She said Italy.
Yeah, that is right.
Which
Italy.
We understand that. We know Italy means I. We know that India means I. But I actually met a guy who had a motorcycle wreck, and he had to relearn things. And under stress, when you know, because Phil's been in the military, and so he knows his phonetic alphabet. You know what you learn in the military. So when you hear something off to the side, when you're under stress, it might throw you off. So I think that using standard phonetic alphabet, say it a couple times. if the person is saying again, so say it in standard phonetics 2, maybe 3 times back to back, because eventually you'll hit like this, right? And so you'll come up out of there. Like the one call you said, you gave him a low RST, but then he came back. You go, oh, well, you're a 5.6 now. Or,
I mentioned how he came up.
Right. So that's the importance of maybe repeating standard phonetics. But it's okay to if you do standard phonetics 3 times and they don't get it, then maybe say that Zanzibar or America. Some of those words that folks use. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, you have your standard phonetics you're supposed to use. It's encouraged to use the correct standard phonetic alphabet. But if you've already went down that route and they're just still not able to pull out that word, then maybe a little bit longer word, might be beneficial. Because then you can compare Italy, India, and go, oh, I. Yeah. And I think she used Queen Mary, Italy. Queen Mary, Italy was her last. And but we got it, and it's in the log, and that's what counts. Is did you finally get it, and did you? And both parties, hey, thanks for working me there. Thanks for your patience. I think I experienced more of that than people going, come on, get off there, you lid, Right. So it's a really fun activity there. And then just a moment ago, that motorcycle that just went by, that's something else that's important for people that are hunting or activating to know, or especially hunting. Well, and activating. The people at home hunting don't know that a motorcycle just went by. First his motorcycle, so his bike is loud, but he also had his stereo at full blast too. Or if the big trucks come down the road and they hit the exhaust brake, you get that right in the middle of a QSO. It always happens. Never when you're calling CQ. So the people at home don't know what's happening here at the table. And a lot of times, as a new activator, you get nervous because you don't want the people at home to be like having to work too hard to get you. But they don't know what's happening. And as the hunter, think about what you do at home. You go to a frequency, you listen, see if I can hear him. If I hear him, I'll throw my call out. If I don't hear him, what do? I just turn my knob, and move on to the next one on the POTA page. So as an activator, some new folks get really wrapped up on what the hunters are thinking on the other end. But we've all been in radio long enough to know we don't know what's happening at the park. Today we had a park ranger come up to us twice today and talk to us, and which I was operating earlier before Phil got here, and he was kind enough to stand there and wait as I was doing some CW or Morse code, and so he waited until I got finished, which was very nice, and we engaged, and but it was nice. And you never know when that happens, and honestly about the only thing you can do is just turn down your volume, have a conversation with the park ranger, and because they're the ones that determine whether or not you get to stay here or not, obviously. But he actually gave me his card today, Phil. And he said for me to stop by and see him before we go. He says he appreciates what we do here because this Parks on the Air activity, when people are at home, they go to the Parks on the Air website and they see you're at a park, they can click the name of the park and actually will bring up the park website, and it brings visibility to the parks. So if you express that or let the park rangers know that, maybe even show them on your phone, your app, hey, look, this is what Parks on the Air does. It brings visibility to the parks. And I told him that the last time I was here. So now he came prepared with a card and asked me to come see him. And obviously I had a talk. He said he'd like to do some collaboration about something. I don't know yet, but we'll find out after this. I went off on a tangent there, Phil. Man, nobody's going to watch this video. That's too long.
Oh, you still
lessons learned. Yeah. Oh, edit. Snip, snip. So other lessons learned, have a script. And just a couple things that you've learned that you'd like to maybe tweak on your setup. Anything else that you'll take home today?
I mean, this is nice. It's like a pre-made log. Call sign, RST, time, notes.
Because Phil was using the standard
Notebook.
paper, and he didn't have any columns, and so you just kind of write down what you think of at the moment. So yeah, having a pre-made sheet is nice. Yeah, and you can find these pre-made sheets at w4emb.com. I'm just kidding. There's no w4emb.com. But if you want one, I have a park-to-park block so you can check it. The QSO number, there's room for 40. Call sign, RST sent and received, their state, what time, and any notes, and then what frequency. And then up top, your park number, date. Above time, I have a start time block. And that's for when I start calling CQ. Because you might call CQ for a while and not make a QSO.
Right.
Yeah. And if that's the case,
I called for a while at first, and then once again I had to do it. And then there was a short time where it was just station after station.
Yes. And having that start time written down, what that helps is, because you mentioned you have an 18 amp hour battery back there, and when you start to figure out, well, how long can I operate on 70 watts off an 18 amp hour battery, and you sit at home, you start doing your math, how long can I operate that way? Then what you can do is you can take this POTA sheet that we have made up, and you can look at that start time where you started calling CQ. You could look at the final, your final contact time, and tally that up and go, okay, I operated for 1 hour and a half, and then write that at the bottom of your page, 1.5 hours of operation. And then you can start looking at your POTA sheets and determine, oh, I better charge my battery. It's been 3 outings, I haven't charged it, and so I need to charge that. And it's kind of like taking down the mileage of your car when you fuel up. You'll start to learn your miles per gallon, and you'll learn very quickly in this configuration with this antenna and that battery, how long you're able to get off that battery. Anyway, so log sheet, few tweaks, a script. Other than that, Phil, you're a very successful operation.
Yep.
Congratulations, it was a great job. Anything else you want to add?
No.
No? Not even like or subscribe to Ed's channel?
I think. Oh, definitely subscribe to Ed's channel. Now that the horse is dead.
Right. It cures insomnia if you want to watch some of my videos. All right. Well, I'm at W4EMB here with Phil KW4LP here at, where are we at today? We're at the Port Royal State Park here in Adams, Tennessee. And we'll go ahead and we'll cut this one off and say thanks for watching. 73.